Season 1 saw Marcelo Pagnan take 3 victories in 9 races, but due to the incredible consistency shown by Robert Hartley claiming 6 poles and 8 top 5s in 9 races, he was ultimately crowned champion. Clifford Eppen, the organizer of this league, came home in a respectable 3rd place, and that without a single win to his name. This season though, everything might come differently. More pressure is added, bigger fields expected and greater prizes added. Will Robert Hartley stay atop the mountain or can a new challenger dethrone him? One thing is set in stone, you won't miss any of the action of Big C's MX-5 Challenge Season 2 here on the Global SimRacing channel. With that, a warm yokoso from the land of the rising sun. My name's Stefan Schlatter and with me in the booth is Chris Fopp. Turning the knobs and pushing the buttons behind the scenes is our director Sean Records Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by the great Doug Beard. Chris, with both Okayama and the MX-5 being free with the subscription to iRacing, you might come to think everyone knows these two from the back of their heads. However, we might have some newcomers with us here today, so why don't you go ahead and introduce us to today's venue?
Thanks, Stefan. We have a very unique track here in Okayama, Japan, former host of the Pacific Grand Prix for Formula One, 2.3 miles or 3.7 kilometers in length, 11 turns. Like most great things, comes from the year 1990. We'll be running the full course today. And while we take a look at the visual here, we're going to throw things down to our track guide.
Alright, we've got Giancarlo Lenzi and the GSRC MX-5, so let's do a lap around Okayama. Coming up to the first turn, this is one of your best places to pass on the track. Just watch out because it's a late apex, so you could get your nose chopped off. After that, you'll want to switch sides to set up for Williams. There's some negative camber on this corner, so going too wide through here is gonna be tough. And it's not uncommon to see cars oversteer on the exit and slide into the wall on the left, so expect some action out of this area. From there, you just gotta weave your way through the Moss S and then get the car lined up for braking into Atwood. This is another potential place to get an overtake done, but if it was me, I'd wait for the exit of this long uphill right-hander. And that's because we're accelerating for quite a ways down the backstretch, and a good run off the corner is going to be very important. Plus, you add in the effect of the draft on these MX-5s and the hard braking into the hairpin, and you've got the most common passing spot on the track. Seats here are going to be the best ticket in the house. However, the amount of banking around this turn means that sometimes you can hold on in a side-by-side battle and have the inside into revolver. From there, it's a short burst into Piper, where the lack of runoff on the outside means you won't want to come out of it too hot. Then, there's a bit of a straight until Redmond, where if you've got a good run on your opponent, it's sometimes possible to spring a surprise attack. This is one of the slowest, most technical parts of the track, though. You can see, as we climb the hill, it switches back into Hobbs, another 180-degree turn. It's not that exciting of a section, but there's still time to be lost here. After that, it's only going to be a slight lift into Mike Knight and hold to the left for the best line into the final corner. This turn is deceptively fast, and carrying your momentum off of it will be critical to keep from being vulnerable into the first turn. But as long as you kept it together and on the black stuff, you finished a lap around Okayama.
And that was Joe Peak doing what he can do best, talking you a lap around the Okayama International Circuit in beautiful, beautiful Japan. Here in the sunset land right now, not the sunrise land. And yeah, with that, we're already going over to our first segment, the GTR Countdown to Green. The Countdown to Green is brought to you by GTR Racing Simulators. GTR Racing Simulators are currently used as a training aids for professional race car drivers. You too can learn to ace that braking, sharpen those corners and shave off those vital seconds. Whether you're a professional driver or a gamer looking for a more immersive way to play, GTR has your back. Get started today at www.gtrsimulator.com. That's www.gtrsimulator.com. And Chris, since this is the very first installment on GSRC of the Big C's MX-5 Challenge, why don't you go ahead and introduce us to the race format these guys are going to use?
It would be my pleasure. This is the first of 10 rounds on the series. This race will be 40 minutes in length, 1 required pit stop. It is a fixed setup race with no incident cap. The top 15 drivers will be scoring points, and they are allowed just 2 fast repairs. So that's going to be what we're looking at today for a great event here at Okayama, Japan.
Yeah, and quite an interesting choice to have those 2 free repairs for these guys. It's normally not something you see. Most of the times it's just 1 fast repair or no fast repair. And yeah, these guys are already in qualifying for about 5 minutes. In the background, you were able to see that, and a bit of an interesting development that I want to take away here. We saw in practice the first 20 or so cars were within a second. Now it's just the top 13 or so cars. So it's spreading out a little bit, but Sonny Kenshin is first ahead of Luis Felipe Calderon, who is in second place right now, coming through the second hairpin.
So it looks like Calderon might be on a hot lap here from what we're hearing from
or not,
Sean Ambrose in our ears. Oh, never mind. He's not on the track any longer.
Let's see. Trying to pick someone. Maxim Bunvish is actually going through the first hairpin in a very tight section that was actually very hated by the real-life Formula 1 drivers when they raced here for S-Chris at the Pacific Grand Prix. Bunvish, you might be knowing that name because he is a World Championship driver in that number 62 Mazda MX-5, currently sitting on a 143.811. Can he improve from 4th place coming out of the line? No, he cannot. That was probably an outlap then with a 51.9 to his name there.
Well, as far as strategy goes in qualifying, Stefan, I know you're a little more experienced with these cars than I am. So what is the approach for qualifying? Do you go out and run a few laps and try to get the best one, or is this kind of a one-and-done scenario?
Well, see, that's the thing. It is a bit interesting because you can do both. These tires, if I remember correctly, they are using street tires in iRacing. So they really can give you a lot of life and a lot of speed throughout your full stints that you're doing. So you can do pretty much everything here, as we're looking at Andreas Katz now, who is on a slow lap, probably an outlap, did let Connor Lane pass. Connor Lane sitting in 37th with his number 27 MX-5 right now.
So how important is it to get a clean lap when you're out here with such a big field of cars? You gotta try to put in the best time, and you probably don't want anyone holding you up.
You're saying it exactly. You don't want anyone to be held up by. But let's face it, we have right now 46 people have a time in. About 52 who are sign up for this race right now, and you're just not gonna have any clear space on this track. It's actually gonna be interesting for the grid. If they're even gonna stand into the last corner or further down into the road. But it's just gonna be like that. You just have to keep calm in qualifying, try the best you can, try to get most out of your track position that you have. Like, for example, if you can go to Yuan Tovar, the number 94, he's sitting right now actually in second to last because he didn't put on the time yet, but he actually has quite a bit of a clear track ahead of him, and he is not getting pressured by anyone behind, so that might actually be a good chance right now to set in a fast lap for him.
So as far as a race goes, when you have north of 50 entries like this, probably getting that type of entrance onto the track is going to be ideal with nobody in front of you to hold you up. Although it looks like he did run a little wide at that last.
Yeah, you can run a bit wide through turn 7 though, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue for him. For one there, but I think no, it just looked like he's gonna pit in there. He is going through turn 10 and 11 on this lap, so let's see if it did count for the 94 and what he can put in. Once again, he didn't put in a lap yet in those past 9 minutes. Coming over the line. and 194.8, putting him into 45th.
I was just wondering, with the sun setting rapidly here at the track, if maybe waiting a little bit later into this qualifying session might be for the best, given the track maybe cool down a little bit, pick up some speed.
Well, you're saying that. What temperatures do we have in the session? Do you see that, Chris?
Yeah, looks like the track temperature just pretty close to ambient right now, 79 degrees Fahrenheit. So not a particularly warm tarmac surface for these guys at the moment.
That surely is interesting, especially for how long or when do we start the race here, and how dark it will get for these cars. Obviously they have headlights, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue when they come in here. And we're right now looking at Stefan van Opstal. You might recognize this name from yesterday of the Huizenfeld MX-5 World Tour, where he did race for the win for a long time, only getting passed on the last lap. I think it was actually Dalmas's Torres, who's right now in 10th place, who overtook him on the last lap for that victory in that race at Spa-Francorchamps. But let's see what he can do coming over the line behind a car there that is actually Torres in front of him. And Opstal not having a fast lap time, so he probably made a mistake somewhere.
So far, it looks like that 143.74 set by Sonny Kanchan a bit earlier on in this session has kind of been a statement lap, so to speak. Nobody's really been able to challenge him.
I'm actually having a look right now at where Sonny Kanchan did put that lap in. It was actually his first fast lap of the session. So yeah, seems like he really is able to bang out that one fast lap in just that first try. And as you said, he's sitting right now in first, but only by 2/1000ths of a second over Luis Felipe Calderon in second place, who once again is pitting in. So seems like he isn't really able to get that one lap. Actually seems like he's pursuing that in and out strategy, so to speak. Drives in, gets new tires, drives out one fast lap, and then comes back around to pit once again for new tires. Robert Hartley, as our director wanted to go to him. Robert Hartley, obviously, as mentioned earlier, he is your defending champion. He's sitting right now in third place, 11/1000ths of a second behind Sonny Kanchan. So at the top, it's very tight.
We're watching Ioannis Moumoulidis. He did have one car right in front of him, but I think that driver made a exit stage right off the racetrack. So now clear track in front of him as looks like he may be on a hot lap right now.
Yeah, it does seem so. Ioannis Moumoulidis. Next car ahead is Mitchell Peak. He's about a full corner ahead of him. Behind him, the orange car that is Arturi Sorati. Actually, quite a different line there than Ioannis, nearly running into the back of him.
Yeah, it seems like Ioannis has taken a much wider approach into the turns than some of the drivers around him, and I don't want to say it's creating conflict, but maybe creating confusion.
Let's see what he can do coming over the line here. First stripe down the racing line, and it's a slower lap, a 45.1, so maybe he had a little bit of a mistake in that lap.
You know, Stefan, it looks like we may have missed it, but there's a tie now for second place on the grid.
Yeah, you're right. It actually shows for me as 1,000 between them. But not in iRacing, so let's just take the iRacing, as you said. Jaume Dalmases Torres and Luis Felipe Calderon, both with a 143.742 to their names. Interestingly enough, Torres is ranked ahead, even though he put in that lap later. But yeah, it's just 2,000ths right now between first and third. And then, as said, fourth now, Robert Hartley, just 11/1000ths of a second. behind. In 5th, Andreas Katz, and with the number 23 there. He has a 143.803 to his name, so he also isn't all that far away as he comes onto your screens. But he, as you can see, has a little bit of traffic right ahead of him, so that might slow him down in the last few corners here, as that might be Sonic Engine. Yes, it is. He's on the inside there, letting all these turns. And I have to be honest, it's getting super dark already here at Okayama, as everyone dives off to the right side there, as the official time is over, so any begun laps can still be finished, but no more laps can be started at this point, as the checkered flag is already out for this qualifying session. On your screen you can see Christina Lindroth sitting right now in 15th with the number 14 machine. Just about 8/10 behind Sonic Engine in 1st place. Interesting livery choice there I currently see. Actually, quite a few people are running this particular scheme, so it seems very popular with these drivers.
And looking at these times, I mean, you have Lindroth, you mentioned, down in 15th position, actually tied with John Watson for that position. Well, not tied, but identical times. And that gives us 16, actually, 18. No, closer to 18 cars within 1 second of quick time.
Yeah, the top 19 are separated by 1.113 seconds, so really close there. As Robert Hartley did pit in yet again. Do we have any more drivers still running on a fast lap? Ashley Beard, the last car to cross the start-finish line, coming out of the last turn, turn 11, or named last corner. That's the official name of it. With a 45.141, so no improvement to Ashley's name. And that already sets the grid for today's race. And the grid is sponsored by the SimRacing Studio starting grid. There we go. You want to enhance your SimRacing experience, but don't feel like spending hours doing it? SimRacing Studio creates plug-and-race SimRacing accessories and software to enhance your experience without any DIY effort. Go to www.simracingstudio.com for more information. And yeah, in that SimRacing Studio starting grid, Sonic Engine takes away that pole, just a mere 2/1000ths of a second between him, Jaume Damasus Torres, and Luis Felipe Calderon in 3rd place. Robert Hartley in 4th place, Andreas Katz 5th, Maxim Bundwitch in 6th, Kasek Almeida in 7th, Steven van Opstal in 8th, Graham Sanders on 19th, Stefan Gravel rounds out your top 10 with a 44.24.
Just barely outside of the top 10 is Ioannis Mumoludis in the 11th position, followed by Ashley Beard in 12th. Lucky 13 is Nico Arviloni. Stacy Chandler next in line in the 14th position, followed by Christian Lindroth in 15th. 16th is John Watson with Hercules L. Santos in 17th position. 18th on the grid is going to be Anthony Burrows, followed by David Hampson in the 888 machine. And 20th place is going to be series director Clifford Eben.
Patrick Kinston taking away the blackjack position. Alongside him will be John White in 22nd, Christina Nazarik in 23rd, Camilo Pesoli in 24th, Arturi Saurotti in 25th, Mark Brightman 26th, Roger Gregory 27th, actually that's 28th, Carter Kanicher in 29th, and Melina Mann in 30th.
Peter Vostrel will start 31st with Mitchell Peak in position 32. 33rd is going to be Angelo Carlos and Nick Carty next in line. Isaac Nicholas will be position 35 with Connor Lane in the 36th spot. Starting 37th on the grid will be Simon Erpelding and Rick Castell 38th. 39th is going to be Alex Hunt and Juan Tovar will be next in line.
As you can see the last few cars running through your grid as we get very close to already starting this race. There are in total 51 cars on this grid, so very long grid and very long race for these cars too, as the motors start to harmonize. And off we go! Great start by Sonic Engine there, but immediately under attack from Kamedamas' Torres there for first position, but cannot capitalize on anything there. Single file for the top 8 positions there, first side by side for 9th between Graham Sanders and Stefan Gravel, but also that gets sorted out as Graham Sanders stays in front and Sonic Engine continues to lead this pack for the first few corners.
And what a tremendous start by these drivers. A very packed field of cars, and for the most part, a fairly clean start. Guys put some rubber down on the track on those starts and looked really impressive as we got this race rolling.
And for the very first time, we go onto the backstretch, and Calderon is pressuring Torres right now, who is going in on a bit of a defensive line there. Torres is able to keep that second place away from Calderon for the moment, but everyone trying to press Sonic Engine for that first position as they for the first time go through Piper Corner. As Calderon did blink a little bit for me there in third position, but so far so clean it seems like.
Yeah, hopefully just a momentary blip for Calderon and he's not out of internet fluid in that car. And, you know, we did mention the start. I said relatively clean start. With 50 plus cars, I think relatively is when you still have like 40 some running after the first turn, right?
Yeah, the percentage is all that counts most of the times there. And if you have, you're never gonna get away with a no contact in the first corner. That's never gonna happen. So some contact is always expected, as we have a little bit of a side by side there between Castle Almeida and Maxime Buvinch for 6th position. But Maxime able to hold that position away from Castle Almeida.
I will say this is probably a great circuit for these MX-5 cars, with it being a relatively simple circuit, so to speak, and these cars able to take a bit of a beating. This should be a really fun race.
Yeah, you're saying it. It's a simple track. It's not too harsh on the cars, on the drivers. But you still have to always stay up there, as it seems like Calderon finally able to get to the inside of Torres here for second position. Able to break later, and who is that shooting? That's Robert Hartley shooting to the inside there. What a dive bomb from the 33 car. Touches the 13 of Torres, but is able to keep everything together. Calderon up to second place, Torres down to third.
You know, gotta give some respect to Robert Hartley on that one. He did make contact with Calderon and still gave him a chance to get everything gathered up instead of just pouncing all over him and pushing the issue.
Yeah, you're saying it, Robert Hartley. He did back out of that again to let Torres go back onto racing line. Feeling sorry for that, but you can see it. He has some left side damage. Actually, that's quite extensive damage to his left front side. So he's gonna be feeling that down the straights, but these cars, they are not that high powered, so it doesn't matter all that much if you have some damage like Robert.
I was going to say, Stefan, in your expert opinion, how much does aerodynamics really play into these MX-5 cars?
Well, it depends. The draft can be quite extensive, but obviously downforce they're not generating pretty much anything compared to like some of the other cars. Probably somewhere around the Skippy level if you think about downforce. They are also not generating all that much, but they are generating some. Obviously anything that is shaped like a car is generating some sort of downforce. As we're seeing here the fight for P12. That is between Christian Lindrod and Ioannis Mumludis.
You know, I've seen him race a few times, and I just enjoy watching Ioannis.
Oh, I'm sorry, there's a bit of a wreck happening. Actually, Maxim Bunvish got tagged by Cassie Almeida into the hairpin. A little bit of contact was made, but everything is sorting out and everyone is staying in their positions. Very lucky break for all two of them. They actually had a little bit of a 3-wide moment with Steven Obstad, but even he decided to back out of that, so they still stay 6th, 7th and 8th, but they back into Graham Sanders now, who is in 9th position.
Yeah, a moment like that'll make you pucker up a little bit when you have that many cars that close together. And looks like they're going to have a pass for position there, as Bunovic drops a couple spots going down the straightaway.
Let's see, going into turn 10, yeah, he did cut turn 10. And if you go too much onto the curb there, you can get a slowdown. And it's exactly what he got there, Maxim Bunovic. As it seems like that Luis Felipe Calderon is able to keep up with Sonny Kanch, and he's actually trying to get around Sonny Kanch here. Did have a little bit of a look to the outside of Edward Curve. Not gonna happen though. Sonny Kanch able to defend that, but now they go onto the long backstretch. Not the longest straight ever, but it is up there. It's enough to generate some draft for these cars. Sonny Kanch running right on the grass there, right beside the grass rather, and Torres trying to go around the outside of Calderon, but not able to do so. Also can't stay side by side for revolver corners, so they stay first to third alike. They came into the turn, but Calderon with a mistake there. Can Torres go on that? Can he overtake him for second place? Yes, he can, and there did. Robert Hartley trying to do the same there, not able to do so. But he is side by side, he is staying side by side through Hobbs' corner. Has to back out of it now.
Now Kanchan was running kind of an unusual line around the track. Do you think maybe that threw Calderon off as he was trying to make the pass?
I don't know, it is a bit weird. Revolver corner is always a bit weird because it is off-cambered. It drops quite a lot on the apex. So it might just be that he was so far off the line. Had a little bit of rubber on his tires. As we're riding on board here with Stefan von Obstal for 7th position against Maxim Bunvic, who had that slowdown just a lap ago. So he's trying to fight back, get himself up to the 6th place. But there's already quite a gap between Cassie Almeida and Andreas Katz, who is 5th place. So top 5 already separating quite a bit from the rest of the pack.
And of course, to mess with us, 3 cars that have pretty similar liveries on them have to all race right by each other.
Let's see, is anything gonna happen into the hairpin? He is getting close to Stefan van Opstal, but not able to capitalize on anything there on Cassie Almeida.
Ooh, some contact right behind Van Opstal, though. I believe, is that Bunovic behind him? I believe Bunovic tagged his back bumper.
Yes, you're right, that's Bunovic tagging him there. And it's quite interesting, these guys are fighting as hard as the top 5 guys. And so these are also getting super close. And Sonny Kanch is actually starting to catch the first back marker of Casey Drake, who is just a few tenths ahead of them.
Kanch went a little wide there too, off into the gravel pit a little.
Yeah, that's most definitely a 1x there for the off-track, as Casey Drake letting all 5 by great awareness by him all the way to the inside there. Nearly went as far to the pit wall as he was able to get there. Yeah, we just got back here in 7th place. Bunvic got past Van Opstal. That happened into turn 1 actually. Yeah, let's show up this pass here. It was a great show by Bunvic and Opstal, not leaving a lot of room to each other there. Through turn 1, there we go, there you can see it. Bunvic just going to the inside there, Has a little bit of a dive, not all too much. A little bit of wheel banging there from both. Sending Van Opstel ever so slightly wide, and Boonvik able to take that 7th place away. Next up on his list, Casey Almeida for 6th position, just a few tenths ahead of him. So we're having a little bit of a side-by-side there between Christian Lindrod and Nico Avilomi, sorry. And everyone else behind him is able to capitalize on that. Yannis Mumuludis going past, John Watson going past. So Nico losing 3 positions in the matter of just 2 turns.
Yeah, something obviously happening there to get Nico a little bit off his game as he gives up a few spots there and almost lost another one to the car behind him.
A little bit of bad timing for these guys to overtake Casey Drake there, but everyone getting past him nice and neatly. They're also starting to lose ever so slightly. The 5 guys ahead of them who are for the top 10s. But we're starting to form some nice groups of 5 to 6 cars everywhere as the lights go on.
So Calderon pushing on Torres here for the 2nd position. It's getting a little bit close here, and they're still not that far away behind Sonny Kanchan, Stefan.
Yeah, you're saying that Sonny Kanchan, he was fastest in qualifying, but it was so little that he's not getting away, and he won't get away. They're not gonna let that happen. So they really are looking feisty. The question is, and Chris, you might be able to tell a little bit about that. Are they able to save some fuel in that draft, or is that straight just not long enough?
You know, really given the aerodynamic impact on these cars, I really don't think the draft's going to do them too many favors as far as saving fuel goes. They all do have that 1 required pit stop, though, that we talked about earlier on, and you got to wonder if maybe there's going to be a little bit of gamesmanship as far as when they time their pit stops to see who can push it the longest.
Whoa, Sonny Kanchan going all the way there to the tires on that off track. Really pushing the limits he is. He did gain ever so slightly on that off track, but not that noticeable.
So we got a bit of a bee's nest here a little bit further back in the field as we're around P24 right now. That's Mark Brightman.
Mark Brightman and Hatsune Miku there for Good Smile Racing livery on the MX-5 there. Nice to see Hatsune Miku on one of those cars. But yeah, Melina Mann there trying to take away that 24th position. Actually is able to do that now around the outside of the Moss as perfectly executed there.
Yeah, you look at that back bumper on Brightman's car, it looks like that car took a walloping as he's made his way up through the grid.
Yeah, you're saying it, that rear bumper is quite bent, but it doesn't harm Mark's top line speed as he's looking to the inside. No, he's not backing out of that. Stays behind in 25th. We have a side-by-side battle there ahead. That David Hampson that we're looking at here against Stefan Gravel. And oh, who is that through the inside there? That's John White taking it 3 wide into turn 8. Can he stay? Yes, he can. Actually takes away. That is for 16th position. Oh, he gets tagged. Great save by John. Can he hold it together? Yes, he can. Great save there as David Hampson did tag him a little bit through Hobbs corner. Oh! What a
was that maybe
is
that maybe a little bit of payback there, you think?
I think it did look like he was a bit angry, but I don't think he actually wanted to do anything there to the back of David Hampson. But he really did slam the brakes once he got too close to the back. So I don't think he wanted to take any harm to the back of that car. And Torres really close now to the back of Sonic Kenshin, so we might see something happening into the hairpin. Sonic Kenshin once again going as close to the grass as he dares. And I think Torres did lift a little bit as he stalled out in the draft.
Yeah, Kenshin has not been afraid at all to do any agricultural racing in this event. I mean, he's been in the dirt, in the grass, in the gravel, on the curb, off the curb. He's been just about everywhere and then some.
Yeah, exactly. And you're not gonna lie, he's putting on a great show defending. He's not doing any unfair moves while defending. But speaking about defending and trying to attack on a track like this with cars like these, where would you want to attack someone and where would you just say, no, I'm gonna wait for the next corner because that's where I'm really gonna make the pass, because that's your overtaking spots? Where would you put those spots, those marks into the track?
You know, after watching this race a little bit and seeing how all over the place these guys can be, with as forgiving as these cars are, I'd say the passing opportunity really is anywhere. If you can get close enough, these guys have shown they're not afraid to use the chrome horn and get somebody out of the way. So really, it seems like the passing opportunities are when you're ready to make the pass.
Oh, I hope you were able to see that as good on the replay, on the broadcast as I am able here with my far chase camera. But Torres on the grass, turn 2 on the grass, on the turn in, sideways, going through that in pure initial D style. Great save by him. Did cost him a little bit through the moss as Calderon is starting to creep up to the back, but just not long enough off a straight to do anything for P2.
Well, you know, Stefan, Formula Drift is having their first event of the year over in Long Beach this weekend, and apparently Mr. Torres wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah, it does seem like so. But Formula Drift, that's some tough competition there that he would have to face. Sanders actually just overtook Ashley Beard there. What an overtake. Round 3 corners actually started with Ashley Beard trying to do something there against Graham Sanders. Started through the hairpin, and yet through turn 7, turn 8, was able to defend his positions there for 9th place. Great driving by Graham Sanders.
You know, as we get close to the halfway point here, looks like not really a ton of passing has gone on. You have a couple guys that have moved up the grid, some that have fallen back, but for the most part, up towards the front of the field, everybody's pretty much where they started.
Speaking about everyone who is standing still in their positions, Carter Cunninger started in 29th up to 19th, gaining 10 positions. He is the big mover in the top 20, might even be in the field right now, as I'm trying to scan through it. And there's actually a battle going up right in front of him. That's still between John White and Stefan Brevel, the 35 and 51 car. Now, Chris, let's talk strategy here for a minute. We know that these guys can go in the first in 25 minutes with their 3.3 gallons. If you're in a pack like the top 5 or 5th to 6th to 10th, would you drive to the end or would you pit early? What would be your strategy here?
You know, if it was my call, I'd say pit as early as possible, get away from that pack, get the pit stop out of the way, and then let them make the mistake.
John Watson, sorry to interrupt you there, Chris. We're gonna come back to you in just a second. John Watson with some problems there through Piper Corner. What happened there on the replay? Let's watch that with you. I'm seeing that for the first time myself. That's Revolver Corner. Everything good there. Still a little bit wide going into Piper Corner. And yeah, just way too wide. Hits the tire barrier. And is done, actually already retired his car behind the pit wall. Alright, but now coming back to the strategy point of view. So you said you're gonna pit early, you would pit early. Anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I'd just like to get my stop out of the way and let everyone else make a mistake and sit back and kind of watch from a distance, so to speak.
Interesting there, right? Now the 404 of Peter Foster, a lap car, slotting in between Torres and Kenshin for just a moment through Atwood Curve. Torres getting around, but not enough on Sonic Kenshin to get round in the hairpin.
You know, with as dark as it's gotten at the track, surprisingly the track temperature staying pretty consistent. I was thinking that it'd be cooling off a lot quicker than it has. But yeah, still hanging on around 79 degrees, which is kind of surprising to me.
Oh, that was another red car, and Graham Sanders, and who was that? Christian Lindroth to the tire barrier. They go trying to avoid the standing car of Austin J. Smith there, who was a lapped car down in 40th.
Ooh, and then Sanders got into, I didn't catch who that was, but Sanders got into another car trying to pass him. It looks like Santos, I'm being told, Hercules Santos, so little door banging after he went up on two wheels when he hit the tire barrier.
Yeah, Santos went into pit lane right after that, as we take that on the replay I heard.
Yeah, Santos pitting from, I believe, 14th position.
Yeah, my bad on that. I did understand replay, but I was misunderstood there. As we have a battle for P4 yet again. That's between Robert Hartley and Andreas Katz. The 23 and 33. Robert Hartley, he has new challengers, but he is keeping up with those challengers as so far. Actually, Torres is trying to take Kenshin for first right now, not able to do that. Has to slot in behind Kenshin for another time into the hairpin.
You know, we talked about how close these guys were in qualifying, but do you wonder if maybe how similar these cars were running time-wise? Do you think that's part of what's making it so difficult for these guys to pass up front? Or do you think maybe they're just biding their time?
That was close between Torres and Kenshin. They're taking two different lines into Hobbs' corner. Chris, honestly, at this point, I'm not sure anymore what to think about these guys and what they're trying to do here. Maybe they're trying to save fuel. Maybe they're just too close to pace to do anything. Or maybe they're just having those different racing lines, and because of that, they are not able to getting past each other. As we jump you back to the battle for P22 in the field, and that's only halfway down the field right now. That's between Patrick Hingston and Arturo Sorati, and it's actually getting quite feisty as Mark Reitman is also joining on in that battle.
Yeah, looks like Hingston may be making a move here into the first turn. Oh no, we got a defensive move. He swings out wide, and he's going to try to make it work around the outside into the first turn.
Arturo Sorati trying to do that, but not able to succeed. He did brake later, but wasn't able to keep any momentum. That was close there.
Did they make a little contact there?
Yeah, I think they did. Our director thinks so too. Was ever so slightly, not any issue for Patrick Hingston there in that interesting livery, I must say. Has Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona tea. That's a staple convenience store product here in the States. I'm not sure if they have it over in your neck of the woods, Stefan.
Never heard of that. I had to think about, because I know that livery, I know that product. Just had to think where to put that Arizona again. But yeah, Arturo Sorati tried it once again into the hairpin around the outside, didn't succeed, so Patrick Hingston in his Arizona T car stays in 22nd. Mumalid is trying to go around the outside. No, it's actually Christian Lindroth going into the pits here. Actually, a tricky pit entrance, Chris. Oh, leaders are going in. Is that actually just Calderon is in the pit lane, pitting from P3? So he's trying exactly what you were saying earlier, going in and taking the pit lane early to not get held up too much. It's actually going to be interesting if Calderon comes out on a clear track or not.
I was going to say pit road is getting awfully busy. I wonder if Calderon maybe was listening to the broadcast and decided to take my advice. Hopefully not, because I'm not known as the smartest iRacer in the world, but great seeing the field. Great seeing, it'll be fun to watch him work his way back up through track.
Ahead of him, we see the battle of Arturo Cerati and Patrick Kingston, who did hit each other again into turn 1 as Arturo Cerati was a bit too late on his brakes, touching the back of Kingston ever so slightly. No harm, no foul though, and Calderon is already on the back of these two. He has to go past them quickly, otherwise he's gonna lose the fight for P1.
Battle right now for P7 as Ionis Moumoulidis trying to maintain his position as he goes off the track. A big moment there as he now opens the door for Graham Sanders to peek up the outside, and looks like it's not going to happen that time by, but a big moment there for Moumoulidis. Oh, and Graham gets into his back bumper too. A very physical race out there towards the middle of the top 10.
Well, it's exactly what touring racing is all about. You have those car hits, you're having those bumps and pushes, but that's all part of the race as Hamid Damas's Torres decides to also pit, and I can report Calderon really got held up by the two cars of Cerati and Hingston, who are also pitting right now, but he probably will lose the battle against Torres with the pit out as Torres already going away and off the pit lane limit. Calderon actually is getting close to Torres, but not close enough, and he's actually losing out once again to him. So Torres, your new leader of your cars that did already pit.
Well, now, Sonny Kanchan, you thought maybe with the cars behind him pitting, he'd enjoy a little bit of a gap, but maybe his biggest lead of the race with a half second over Robert Hartley, but still, he has not had any time to rest for this race.
Alright, let's do this, Chris. You're Sonny Kanchan, the two cars behind you did pit, what you gonna do? Go.
I think you just gotta wait it out at this point. Your competition's already shown their hand a little bit. I'd say wait till the end of the pit window and just try to have a mistake-free pit and get as much of a gap on the field as he can with those low fuel levels. As I say that, of course, he pulls right into the pits with Hartley right on his bumper.
Kanchan very slow on the pit entrance. Hartley did seem to have practiced that quite a lot. Very fast into pit lane, and Kanchan actually hits the inside wall there and the inside cone. I saw quite some sparks fly there off Sonny Kanchan's car. But seems like he did not pick up any damage, so lucky break for him. Now one eye on Kanchan and Hartley and Cuts, and one eye on Calderon and Torres as they come around through the last turn. Where are they gonna come out compared to these guys? Kanchan off the pit lane. Torres just over the start-finish line right now, so they lost out a little bit, but they're gonna catch the back of these guys again. Andreas Cuts though, very slow through the pit lane. Andreas Cuts actually so slow through the pit lane, he actually is having to defend against Steven van Opstal for 5th position now. So he probably is the biggest loser of this pit cycle.
So it looks like all of our top drivers in the field have already pit. Looks like Kanchan was able to maintain his lead. And looks like it's going to be the last 10 minutes of this race here coming up.
Now, this is actually quite interesting. Because of the pit cycle and how everyone pitted, Robert Hartley pitting with Kenshin, Robert Hartley is actually now, instead of fighting for P5, he's actually now fighting for the lead effectively, because of Torres and Calderon having lost out some time because of the early pit stops compared to these two guys. And I feel like Robert Hartley is really looking like the faster car over Kenshin right now. Now this is a very awesome battle right here for P10. That's between Mumeludis, John White, Hercules Santos, Carter Cunninger and Stefan Gravel. 5 cars right behind Graham Sanders in 13th. Actually, they're all fighting for position, my bad. Sanders is actually in 10th. So that's 6 cars fighting for the same position. They're for 10th place and they're super close together. John White actually really close to the bump of Mumeludis, so he might be able to do something into turn 1. Let's see if he can do something in that 51 machine. Not getting any run and has to brake early, but Mumeludis, what a late braking point there. Probably the last of the last breakers there. John White trying to go around the inside, actually screws himself up with that under pressure over Carter Cunninger. Too wide through the moss as they go. Can Cunninger go around the outside of Edward Curve, or will John White have the upper hand? No, he will not. Actually might lose another position through those Hercules Santos, or no, he doesn't. Actually is able to fight back against Cunninger.
Seems like that late braking moment from Ionis is kind of throwing John White off his game a little bit.
Yeah, it did seem like that, as you said, as Gravel and Cunninger are side by side, and now John White and Cunninger are side by side. And Cunninger able to defend the inside. Actually, John White's super far off the track. They're nearly going down to turn 2 again. Cunninger getting a little bit of a shove. They're out of revolver turn. Nearly 3 wide. Actually 3 wide now for 12th position. 4 wide nearly there. Oh, that was very close with Santos. And
we got cars going around.
This wasn't going to hold up here for very long, and it didn't hold up there. Cunninger, lots of damage, and he spins out again, hits 2 cars there, Gravel and Pezzoli. So he is nearly done with that. Whew,
well, what a series of events there.
Yeah, you're saying that. Getting me out of breath there as we go into replay, showing you what happened there yet again. There's the 3 wide moment. Then you're gonna see the red-orangey car of Santos trying to go around the inside of them. It seems like he did touch... No, it didn't touch White. White just got loose on the outside and close because of that the door to the O2 car of Cunninger, who got into the Rebel. And Robert Hartley tries to go for the lead yet again, but yet again he's not able to succeed on overtaking Sonny Kenshin.
You know, I had the thought that maybe the early pit would be the ticket around this place, but Hartley and Kenshin are proving me completely wrong. It's a shame for Torres and Calderon because they ran a great race, but after pitting they just had so much traffic.
Oh! Our director just wanted to send us to 15th, and Santos just blew his engine there. Into revolver corner, he blew his engine. Unfortunate for him on the downshift against Clifford Evan around the outside. He wanted to try it there against him. Blows his engine, that's his race done. Yeah, he will obviously be able to get around, or probably get out again. He just has to tow his car back and then take one of the fast repairs that he still have to get back out there, but he's gonna be way down.
Well, looks like we got a battle going on for third right now as Torres and Calderon have been battling throughout the race, and looks like they still find themselves glued together now, battling it out for P3. Torres has the advantage, but Calderon offline trying to find a way around.
Now, Chris, it's 4 minutes to go. You're Torres or Calderon, doesn't matter. You know you're faster than the guys for P1 right now. What are you gonna do?
You just got to hammer down, buddy. Just go for it. What do you have to lose at this point? As we have the pass for position, Calderon with a power move on the straightaway.
I wonder if Torres got to slow down there, because he was quite slow on the straight. Does look like he got to slow down through Revolver Corner on the inside. They're cutting a bit too much over the curb. Losing that third place to Calderon. But at the top is where all the action is. Robert Hartley still feisty on the back of Sonny Kanchan.
Yeah, Hartley definitely keeping Kanchan honest throughout the end of this one.
As right ahead of them, that is the car of Hercules Santos, number 36, who blew his engine just about 2 laps earlier. Once again out due to that fast repair.
You know, again, really not too many cars out of this race for as big of a field as we've had. So I'm really impressed with not only the size of the field, but also the quality and the driver etiquette that we've seen out there. Lots of beating and banging, but not too many hurt feelings, it looks like.
Yeah, only 11 cars are not, at this point, are not gonna see the checkered flag. Derek Krause in 51st, sorry. He didn't even take the green flag, so he had some issues on his end, as it seems like, not being able to take the green flag. As we're here for 23rd between Stefan Gravel and who's that behind him? That's Nick.
That's Brightman, I think. Mark Brightman.
Brightman, yeah. And Hartley and Kanchan just got past the car of Hercules Santos, not making it them all too easy actually going past him. As we're getting to 2 to go, so you're in the shoes of Robert Hartley. You're able to keep up with him, but every pass that you tried hasn't had a successful ending so far. You're probably gonna get frustrated at this point, Chris. What would be your strategy going into these last 2 laps?
Well, you know, I grew up watching NASCAR before I got into road racing. Mm-hmm. So the Dale Earnhardt in me would say, if I can get him, I'm gonna move him.
So you're using the Timo Sheep in Raus tactic. I like that. Not that much, but that Sheep in Raus tactic, but push to pass, it is a thing, and if you can keep it rather clean and only just push ever so slightly off the way, then you're having my blessing to do so. As Calderon now gets past Santos, as we're for 10th position. That's Younes Mameludis, their super slide there for him through Atwood, letting Graham Sanders getting a little bit of a run there.
So after being kind of put out by the pit strategy, Calderon now closing in on your top 2 drivers. This is an impressive recovery from the miscue on the pit stop.
Yeah, and he's leaving Comet Damasus Torres in the dust. He is also catching the 2 guys in front, but not enough and not as much as Calderon is, so he's driving by him in that last half of the race.
So white flag being displayed. We have 1 lap left. Second place just went a little bit wide there coming off the final corner. Just coming up on 10 turns left. What's your thoughts?
Oh, this is gonna get close and exciting, I'll tell you that much. Calderon is catching the 2 guys ahead, so he's seeing the fire in his eyes. Then you also have Robert Hartley, who is your defending champion, who is trying to get that first place away from Sonny Kanchan for quite an extensive amount of laps already. So this is gonna go down in a heartbeat. And who's gonna come out on top? We're gonna see that in just a few corners time as Robert Hartley, Kenshin, and Calderon go onto the backstretch for the very last time of this race.
Yeah, it's got to be so frustrating. You can see the opportunity right up ahead of you, but you just can't quite reach out and grab it.
Hartley getting closer to the back of Sonny Kenshin as they go through the revolver corner for the very last lap. Erpelding holding up Kenshin there a little bit, having a slide. They're getting out of the way for these guys, backing him a little bit up into Robert Hartley, going into Redmond corner right now.
Ooh, Calderon may have tapped Hartley a little bit there.
No harm, no foul though to Robert Hartley's rear as they're going into the second to last corner. Everything clean so far, no off tracks, no slowdowns. Last corner, Robert Hartley with a big slide, trying to take too much speed through the turn. Kenshin blinking a little bit, and Kenshin is going to take away the first race of this season. Sonny Kenshin wins the race at Okayama. As P6 is gonna cross the line, who is gonna be that? Stefan van Opstal, super slow there. Did he take enough fuel? No, he didn't. He's stuttering over the line, losing the position to Ashley Beard there. Maxim Boonvik actually took that P6 away from him ahead of Kasse Almeida. More and more people are passing Stefan van Opstal as he's gonna cross the line down in 14th position actually. Lucky break for him as lots of people passed him there through the last two corners.
Yeah, he's fortunate to finish in the points, but what a heartbreaker when you're coming home well in the top 10.
Yeah, instead of getting more points, he only is gonna get 2 points or so, finishing in 14th. But with that exciting finish, we're gonna take a breather here and we're gonna send you to the break. We're gonna be back in just a few moments again. Well, with that exciting race behind us, let's head over to the Long Road Racing post-race show. As Mazda's technical business partner, Long Road Racing is the exclusive builder of the real-life Global MX-5 Cup car. Whether you race, drive enthusiastically, or just get excited about cars, Long Road Racing offers professionally engineered vehicles and proven performance solutions for you. Find out how they can help you by visiting www.longroadracing.com. And with that, let's run you one more time through the results of this race, as Sonny Kenshin did take away the first victory of the season ahead of Robert Hartley and Luis Felipe Calderon, the first three being covered by a mere 7/10 of a second. Jaime Dalmases Torres in 4th place ahead of Andreas Katz in 5th. Maxime Boonvik, the World Championship driver, only finishing in 6th place. He started in 6th place. To Casi Almeida, another driver who didn't improve from his starting positions. Started in 7th, finished in 7th. Ashley Beard, the number 7 car, finished in 8th. Christian Lindroth in 9th. And Ioannis Moumoulidis finishing out the top 10.
Graham Sanders comes home in the 11th spot, with John White advancing from 22nd position to finish 12th. 13th at the finish line was Anthony Burrows, with Stephen Van Opstra limping home with no fuel in the tank. Nico Arvelomi, coming home in the final points scoring position, with Clifford Evans 16th, David Hampson 17th, Camilo Pizzoli 18th, and Arturi Sorati in 19th, and Melina Mann rounds out your top 20.
Patrick Kinston in that black check position. He started 21st, finished 21st. Mark Brightman 22nd, Stefan Gravel 23rd, Isaac Nichols 24th, 25th goes to Mitchell Peak, Adam Mariak in 26th, another driver who didn't improve on his starting position, Carter Cunningham in 27th after his big wreck that we saw in the broadcast. Alex Hunt finishing in 28th, Jay Büge in 29th, and Bobby Blankenship in 30th.
Zbolks Prem in the 31st position, followed by Peter Vostrel in 32nd. Steve Gauthier in the 33rd position, with Gary Weaver coming home in 34th. Hercules El Santos was 35th after an incident early on, or a little bit towards the end of the race. Simon Erpelding in 36th, Roger Gregory in 37th, and in the 38th position with Ricky Castell and Cesar Carboni rounding out the top.
Now I'm all left with cars that didn't finish this race. John Watson, Juan Tovar, Austin Smith, Danny Payne, Stacy Chandler, Christina Nazarik, Nick Carty, Angelo Carlos, Connor Lane, and Andres Quinke didn't all make it to the checkered flag. Derek Krause, as already mentioned in the race, 51st, he didn't make it to the green flag. And with that, we congratulate for the very first time Sonny Kenshin to take away the victory of today's race. Now, Sonny, you were pretty much in control of the field from green flag to checkered. How did this race feel to you?
Oh wow, it's wire to wire. It's like high voltage. It was crazy. Okay, I'm a no drama, not really. Give me a rookie track any day. But this was one of those one of the top 10 races I've had in my iRacing career. So glad it all went well, and lucky to have pole position on the grid among all the other fast drivers. It was tough, really, really tough.
Yeah, you're saying it now. We're all used to the baseline setup of this car, because obviously in rookies you only get that baseline setup. But for a race like this that is 40 minutes, did it change anything on how you approach it against to the 25-minute races in the rookie, or is it still the same?
Yes, I've raced this car before. I experienced car seat time in this car is one of the things that you want to make sure when you actually race more than 25 minutes, as you said. Along those lines, the tire wear is what you definitely start to feel after a few laps, and you kind of have to manage that along. Even if you're on the lead, it gets incredibly tough to actually maintain that lead and be consistent throughout. The setup is stable enough. That's not an issue at all. But it's the tire wear and the track temperatures, as now it's been dynamic throughout the race, and the grip levels. It's just it just goes off sometimes, and it's really hard to control the car. It's as you know, it's a momentum-based car, but over the previous seasons in doing the endurance races and stuff like that, you kind of pick that up. So experience is what takes you till the end, I guess. So definitely that's something to manage throughout the race.
Real quick, you were talking about a tire wear. Was tire wear an issue in this race?
Oh yes, especially given the race, the strategy to pit and if you take tires to when you actually pit towards the end, uh, that's when you kind of want it. You can't. It's irresistible to actually. It's very tempting to take tires, but if you do, then you lose time. It's almost there on the ballpark where you take only left sides or right sides, you still lose time to versus the amount of fuel you need to finish the race. But yeah, definitely, it gets really loose towards the end, and yeah, you'd hope that you don't make any mistake. There's no room for error when you're on the limit, especially going off track on the limit. So, and someone like Rob trying to get at you from behind, and all the others as well, and also passing the lap cars. It's a definitive challenge, and I'm glad I made it home though. Yeah, it's really tough.
Yeah, challenge indeed, and interesting. Learned something today that I didn't expect to learn. That actually tower can be an issue in these races. But Sonic Kenshin able to stay atop the car and atop the mountain and finishes in first place. Thank you so very much, Sonny, for talking with us here today. And congrats yet again on winning here at
Thanks.
Okayama. And Chris
Yeah.
Hobby, he's now catching up with Ionis Mumuludis.
Thanks, guys. Just want to say a quick thanks to Cliff and everyone. All right, catch you guys next time. Cheers.
Right.
All right, here with Ionis Mumuludis. Ionis, you're quickly becoming one of my favorite iRacers, the way you kind of wrestle that car around the track. That's just tremendous. I know you were kind of mired back around the 10th position for the majority of the race. Could you give us a little bit of insight into your ride today?
Thanks for the kind words, first of all. And yeah, I've been everyone's punching back this race. I've been rear-ended more often than I could count. With so many cars out there, it's really easy to get into a fighting mood, and that's certainly what happened. At some point, we were going into these two hairpins, these two consecutive hairpins. Into the first one, we were 3 wide. I was in the middle, and I didn't know what to do. Suddenly, someone just came into my inside and dove in. We were already going 2 wide, and yeah, it was a great race, and the fights were great. Unfortunately, there was a lot of contact, but hey, you can't avoid that with 60 car grid.
That's one thing to mention too. How do you kind of change your perception when you start a race like this with so many cars on the track?
I think I've got a very good answer for that one. Start in the front, because if you start in the front, there's less to take care of in the back. Unfortunately for the guys in the back, a 60 car grid. I mean, I was running top 10 for the most part, top 15. So I couldn't actually see how immense the grid was, but I saw it in my mirror, and I saw it when we after the pit stops. You could where you can see the other part of the track and the exit of the first corner. So it's breathtaking. So many MX-5s on that little track. It's such a change from normal races.
Now, as far as pit strategy goes on an event like this, what do you take into consideration when you decide when to hop into pit lane?
I guess for the people that you run around, it doesn't really matter when you pit, but if you're a couple of tenths faster or slower than the person in front or behind you, you should take that into account. If you're faster, then try and pit later, so you can get the most out of your pace while the track's clear. If if the track's not clear, if you don't have clean air, and there's just back markers everywhere, and people that you are fighting against, people that you need to slow down for, then pit earlier. The pit stop was pretty good. Pit entry, I love on Okayama. The pit strategy here is very reminiscent of the Advanced Mazda Cup endurance races. So yeah, it's definitely, these couple of tenths really do make a difference when you pit later than someone that was running slower.
Now we're going to see you back in the series next week as we head to Lime Rock Park.
You certainly will.
Good to hear, and that's Ionis Mumuludis. Easy enough for me to say with a word with us here this afternoon, and I believe you have somebody else in line, Stefan?
Yes, Gary Weaver will be talking to us here, finishing in 34th. Now, normally that would be last or somewhere in the region of last, but actually with a 50-car field, you're still quite in the mix, and you were part of quite a few battles, Gary. How did it feel to you today here at Okayama?
Oh, it's great. It would have been top 30, but I'll get to that in a second. But overall, it was pretty fun. I struggled a lot in qualifying, so I was pretty frustrated with myself. Kept getting a 1x every single time I took, aside from, I think it was my third lap. I actually managed to get a lap time in, but it wasn't the best. So after that, on the main start, I got a great run, but I decided not to make it 3 wide because, well, I mean, 3 wide on a straightaway, while there is room, I had the feeling of, you know what, I'm just going to not do this and just let everyone race it out. So throughout the race, again, like you mentioned, I had a great battle with Jay, I think Buge, for about P30. And then, well, unfortunately, throughout the last second to last lap in the last corner, I got a course cut. And I thought I could try and stretch it out just a bit, just so I don't lose any momentum. And I was 29th at the time, and then I had to pit to serve the black flag because I did not slow down in time, unfortunately. So 34th isn't too bad. I just wish it could have been top 30 or a little bit better.
So a sensible but naughty boy in that 92 car there. Gary, we heard some people talk about the tire wear. How did it feel to you, especially with that 40-minute race? How were you able to manage your tires, or did you even take tires on your pit stop?
I did not take tires whatsoever, so I just figured, during practice I actually took tires and fuel just to see how long it would take. So I figured, well, you know what, it's not exactly worth it, and I did a 10-lap sprint, checked the percentage wear of the tires, and figured, well, about 95%, that's not terrible, so I just went with it throughout the entire race, no tire changes, actually. So it didn't feel too bad, really. I didn't feel any major tire wear. I think it actually went a little bit better, at least for me, the more the race went on.
Well, next up, Lime Rock Park. How are you feeling about that one, especially if we get, once again, 50 cars on the grid?
Very scared. To put it bluntly, very scared. But I mean, Lime Rock is, it's fun. That just depends on, let's see. I'm going to double check this one. Yeah, it's just regular Lime Rock without the chicane. Okay, so that's good. That uphill section, however, with 50 cars going over it, I don't know. I'm interested to see how it goes, and I'm hoping that, no, I can't really get a course cut there as easy as I can at Okayama, so I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully get a better finishing position.
Well, we're also going to look forward to seeing you yet again race here in Big C's MX-5 Challenge. That was Gary Weaver talking to us, finishing in 34th position. It actually is going to get interesting, because with all those right-handers, those left-hand tires are really going to get treated very badly at next week. Same time next week. And yeah, with that, we already sadly have to close here, and as always, GSRC would like to thank everyone on the track today for a great show, and especially Cliff for them for organizing this league and contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. Right now on your screen, you can see all of the companies that provide us with their great hard and software GSRC uses to deliver you the best show possible. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides us with their great masterpieces. See a screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Big C's MX-5 Challenge will return in 1 week's time for round 2 from Lime Rock Park iRacing and GSRC will be there. We hope you'll be too. Next up on GSRC will be the coverage of Autobahn Sports Car Challenge. Coverage will air tomorrow at 9:15 PM Eastern over at iRacing Esports Network. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, please visit us at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also find us on the social media platforms, on Twitter with @GSRChannel, on Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel, or on Instagram at GSRC_RAM. All of the upcoming races for our other series are right now sliding across your screen, so check them out and mark them down on your calendar to not miss any second of exciting racing action. If you haven't done so yet, become a YouTube subscriber hitting that red subscribe button just below this broadcast. Maybe even hit that bell to get notified when we go next live for more exciting racing. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, Sean, Chris, Dougie and myself, I'd like to thank all of you for tuning in as Sonic Engine took away the victory in the setting sun in Japan. With that said, until next time, servus and sayonara, and as always, race hard, race clean. We'll see you on the track.